Hello, everybody. I know it's been a million years since I've been on, since we've spent any time with each other. And of course, it's for whatever reason life, health, family, whatever. Anyway, I've decided to come on today and hopefully make it a regular occurrence again to come on here and spend some time with you guys, not only to chit chat with all of you, but also just share some things, whatever the universal spirit or my ancestors or my guardian angels or my spirit guides, even your spirit guides want to come on and share with us. We all know that spirit always has something to say. Always. It doesn't matter what's happening. There's always word from spirit, right? Now, let's talk about that. So, oftentimes, especially when we are barely starting on our spiritual journey, whether it's personal development or spiritual development, primarily spiritual development, we all know that we have these um, intuitive gifts that we were born with. It's a given. We all have them. Granted, they come in several different shape, ways, or form. I'm sure you guys can hear the ice cream truck, but you're always going to hear it where I live. So we all have spiritual intuitive. Well, we all have spiritual gifts. They come in several different shapes and colors and whatnot. So first and foremost, I would recommend that you do your best not to compare. For example, if I am clairvoyant, don't try to force clairvoyancy upon yourself. Don't try to judge yourself too harshly because you aren't experiencing clairvoyancy the way I do or experiencing it in general. The most important thing is to spend some time with yourself in your sacred space, not in, whatever the sacred space looks like, and bring yourself back to center and do some grounding and really spend some time with yourself first. Not necessarily complete silent meditation, but just spending some time with yourself. It could be reading a book. It could be outside, doing some gardening work. It could be working out. It could be meditating. Whatever works for you. It could be dancing. It could be writing. Whatever it looks like for you, do that. And when you're in that moment, ask yourself if you are in fact ready to receive messages from spirit or listen to what spirit or the universe has to say. Okay. Once you're at that point, and sometimes it takes a while to get there. It could take several tries of sitting with yourself and grounding yourself to even be able to answer that question. Because oftentimes we're so fixated on what we think that should look like or what we think that should sound like that we lose focus of the actual experience because we're focusing too much on the would have, should have, could have, and the comparisons. Okay. Next, seriously, it's as easy as having a conversation with God, with source, with the universe, with your divine spiritual support team, just having a regular everyday conversation. If you normally pray, then pray. But in addition to that, just have a regular old conversation because remember, we all have a divine spiritual support team and they're there specifically for us. They aren't going anywhere, but it's up to us to determine whether we are able to communicate with them. Because oftentimes, once we leave childhood, we start shutting down our gifts and we start pulling away from that aspect of ourselves because we become so much more aware of people and judgment and all this other crappy stuff that comes along with growing up. But once you decide to reconnect with that part of you, it takes a lot of practice to be able to truly be in a place where you're able to listen to your divine spiritual support team. Okay. And again, it's try not to force too much of it. Meaning, don't try not to don't try to force a scenario. Don't try to force it having to look a certain way. Oh, you're also going to hear music because that's just what happens in my neighborhood. But don't try to force something that doesn't fit. Remember, it's going to look completely different for you because it's meant for you and only you. Okay. And 10 different things popped up, but let's go back to just having a regular everyday conversation with your divine spiritual support team. It's really that simple. Start simple. Just start talking, you know, hey universe, here I am. I'm not sure what to do, but I'm trying to start this conversation so that we can communicate with one another. So I can be open to receiving your guidance, downloads, message, whatever it is that you wish to attain. Start there. I would recommend to just start there and just don't go beyond that for a while. Do that until it feels comfortable or until you feel like you're truly starting to receive those messages or you're truly giving yourself permission to be open to receiving those messages. Okay. Okay. But that is not what I was here for, although that's kind of what it turned into. Okay. So What I came on here today was to share with all of you what it is that Spirit's out here trying to say to us. Okay. Again, like the description says, Spirit's out here spitting. We don't even know what it is yet because I haven't even paid attention, but I know it's here because I can feel it. We all receive messages and downloads differently. And for me, it's just several amount of overwhelming thoughts just keep piling on top of each other over and over again. Well, that's one way. And they don't necessarily, I don't know the details of it yet. I don't know the specific words or informations, but I know it's there. I need to decide what to do with it. I'm going to like shove it away. I'm going to repress it, or I'm just going to get it out. And today I'm going to get it out via video. Normally I journal. How many of you guys journal? I start journaling and I just get so distracted. Just like I get distracted when I'm talking, but I get distracted and I tend to lose motivation. It's like I'm so focused on journaling what I should be like, what do I write, that I don't end up writing anything because I've processed it all mentally. So what's left to write? That's kind of how I see it. Okay. All right. So here we go. Oh, just so you guys know, let's talk about a couple of announcements. First and foremost, I will be hosting a women's circle on Sunday, February 28th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. You can sign up in order to attend, you have to sign up, and you can do so on my website, and I will add it to the description, but I will also add it to the chat. Oops. Okay. So you can visit my website and sign up on the events page, and you have to sign up because that's how you'll be receiving the Zoom link on the day of the Women's Circle. It is free to attend and they are held via Zoom. Be sure to share with whomever you feel would resonate or would benefit from participating in the circle. The topic of discussion/conversation is accountability. Last month we talked about self-worth, and this month we are talking about accountability. Now, I will, on the website, you will get a brief synopsis as to what the women's circles are about. Please take a look at it and see if it's a match for you or if you'd be interested in attending. And I would be really, I'm excited to connect with you all and spend some time with each other. You guys, once you read the synopsis, you'll see it's not all what people imagine it to be. It's super simple and casual and confidential and very high vibrational, and really great to spend some time with other women that are just experiencing life. Okay. Secondly, if you'd like to book a reading with me, you could do so on my website. Once you visit my website, the main page, it tells you a little bit about myself. It tells you a little bit about what I do. And once you click on the Work With Me tab, it'll give you more details as to the type of readings that I do. And that's where the specifics are. That's where you will determine whether I'm the reader for you, because again, I'm not for everyone, and that's perfectly okay, because we all serve a purpose here for different reasons. Our missions all look completely different, and they're very specific, individual to us. So we will not always be in alignment with the exact same people, and that's good, because if we were, then we would just be carbon copies of one another, and that's useless. Okay. So again, if you'd like to book a reading, the readings are $44, and you can book them on my website. Just click on the Work With Me tab. And if you would like to attend the Women's Circle, all you have to do is sign up, and you can do so on the events page of my website. And I put my website address, and I put my website ad. So Spirit's out here waiting to talk. So let's see what Spirit has to say, shall we? First and foremost, because there's a couple of things. One thing that Spirit would like to communicate is, during this time of chaos and this time of distance learning, be sure to check in with your children and their mental health. Yes, homework is important. Yes, deadlines are important and differently than we do, obviously. And when they're forced to be in a distance learning situation, it weighs heavily on their mental health. And there's a lot of children out there that aren't handling well, especially teenagers. It's hard enough being a teenager, but check in with your teens. Yeah, we're going to get on their ass to make sure they get their homework done. Don't spend so much time gaming with your friends, skateboarding, going out, dating, boyfriend, girl, whatever. Yes, try to create a balance. But remember, their mental health is seriously taking the hit right now. And it's not okay. The schools are so focused on creating educational expectations, which is great because that's important. But if their mental health isn't in a good place, or there's no balance with it, you can't expect them to perform or to achieve or to attain all these other goals that are set forth for them. And that's not fair. We're completely disregarding their mental health, and it's not a good thing. That can turn into something super ugly and really scary. So let's be sure to check in with our children's mental health. That's the first and most important thing that Spirit would like to share with us today. Okay, moving along. I know this is live. I'm not looking for people to, I'm not looking, my focus is not to be live, but rather just to create this video so that I can post it. To me, it's so much easier than recording a video, uploading it. I'm just going to do everything live, and the video will just be there, ready to go. I'm not really into editing. It just takes too much time. I'm just going to get the video out however it comes out. Yes, there might be some distractions. Maybe I stutter. Maybe I'll just go for a couple seconds. We'll live. We'll get through it, right? To me, editing isn't really important. I'll live. I don't go through life editing myself anyway, so this is what we get, right? Okay. Let's see what else. Organization is also coming up for Spirit. We're going through these phases of the moon, and granted, I have not been paying attention to them. However, the current phase between the new moon and the full moon, specifically now within this week, what the Spirit is asking us to take a look at is our organization. It seems as though we have laxed a little bit on that. So we have something scattered over here. Our room isn't organized. We're not making our bed as much. The dishes are sitting on the counter. We haven't vacuumed. The mail hasn't been sorted. These are everyday things that for the most part, we usually keep up on. I don't like to sleep in a messy bed, so I make my bed. And the dishes, I'm lazy about them, but I know I need to keep up on them because we have, it's important to keep the the kitchen clean. All these little things that we normally keep up on, we're starting to let them pile up just a little bit. Organization primarily. And when they're talking about organization, they're not five. Ensuring that the different, I measure life, or I refer to life in terms of a pie. And all our little slices of pie are obviously different aspects of our lives. And our little pie slices, they're not in a perfect circle anymore. It's like some of them are sticking out, some of them are crushed, some are laying on their side. All these different things are happening to our little pie slices, and that's where the organization comes in. So again, this is part of everyday life. So let's focus a little bit more on organization, because we've neglected it just a little bit. No, you don't have to go all Virgo on it, because I am a Virgo, but I am not really your typical Virgo. So I'm not super organized in every aspect of my life. All right, let's see. Oh, the deck that I'm working with today is the messages. And the second deck is my fave, is Shamanic Healing. Okay, we're going to pull from both of them, but right now I'm pulling from the Spirit messages. Okay, another thing that's coming up for Spirit is, speaking of Spirit messages, there have been quite a few of us that want to dabble in mediumship. We're curious as to, can I communicate with the dead? And it's so focused on the dead, as opposed to looking at it as the spirit world, or, communicating with the spirit world. Because to me, two worlds exist, the physical world and the spirit world. And yes, that's where the dead reside, or the dead, live, don't live, because they're dead, of course, because they can't live because they're dead. Anyway. But the folk, they're asking that you pay attention to why it is that you're so focused on it. Is it just because you want to be able to say, I talk to the dead, or I'm a medium, I can communicate with your dead, come by a reading for me? Why is it so important that you're focused on communicating with the dead? Is there something that you want to, are you looking forward to talking to a loved one? Are you trying to connect with your ancestors, honor and venerate your ancestors? Why are you trying so hard to communicate with the dead? Why are you so focused on it? Spend some time with that and really ask yourself and see what the answer is. Figure out what it is. Do some journaling, do some push-ups. I don't care, whatever, but spend some time with yourself in that question and give yourself an answer. See what the answer is. And you're going to learn that the answer, it isn't what you would like it to be, and it isn't what you think it is. Okay. So pay attention to that, because they're just saying that your focus is in the wrong place. And yeah, we're going to talk a lot about focus in this video, because after all, energy flows where our focus is. Okay. Okay. We got breathe, ground yourself, and let go. Now, the message that's coming up for this is, first and foremost, breathe and grounding go hand in hand. We are always trying to ground ourselves. We know when that our vibration is low, or when shit's gone awry, or when, we everything is so chaotic. We look forward to grounding. We know that it's time to ground ourselves. We might smudge ourselves, Palo Santo, or whatever herb or anything else that you use. We create some sort of Zen atmosphere for ourselves. We pray, we chant, we do sound bowls, whatever we do to ground. We know that when our life looks the way I just described, that it's time to ground, right? But we're forgetting to breathe when we ground. We're so focused on, ooh, let me go put my foot in the dirt. Like, ooh, let me get these sound bowls on. That when we're actually in the process of grounding, we're not breathing. We're not doing the one basic and most important thing, is to breathe. Just chill for a little bit. Take some deep breaths so that, number one, you can relax yourself and you can release all the tension that you're holding. Relax your body. You see the meme all the time, or the little, I don't know, I guess they're all memes. Unclench your jaw, take a deep breath, drop your shoulders. Do that. You can do all those things if you just relax for a moment and take a deep breath. Take a few deep breaths until you're okay with, your breathing is better, everything is at bay, and you can actually start to ground, or you can actually go through the grounding process so that you're actually grounding, and the process is actually effective. Okay, so breathe and ground yourself. Don't forget to breathe. It is the first thing you got to do, and it is the most important. Okay, lastly, we have let go. Now, it feels that the reason we are rushing to grounding these days, or the reason why we feel as though we have so much tension or things are so chaotic around us, is because there's this person, or rather, there's these experiences or these shared memories that we just don't want to let go. Or we feel that because in that time, in that moment in our lives, things were great. The time in my life was high vibrational. It was fantastic. And I want that again. It's meant for me because it felt good. I know it's meant for me. I'm supposed to relive this. Things are supposed to be reoccurring. But you're forgetting the simple fact that you have grown and you have evolved. Okay. You don't have to completely erase the memory, but it's time to let go of that. It's time to let go of that experience because you're growing. And if you wish to move forward, you can't hold on to the handlebars over here. You can't hold on to this rail because you're never going to be able to move forward. Let that mother go so that you can actually move forward. Okay. Again, you don't have to completely erase the memory. You don't have to act like it never existed, or you don't have to, live your life like, oh man, like you regret letting it go. It doesn't have to be that way. The memory exists. You actually had the experience. So save it, cherish it, put in your little memory box and move forward. You can always remember it. You can always think of it. Oh, you can always reminisce, but it doesn't have to hold you back. Okay. Never, ever, ever has to hold you back. And yes, it's hard. And yes, you feel like, I just can't let go because it means so much to me. You can let go. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but you literally can let go. Why? Because we have free will and we decide what emotions, actions, or thoughts we're going to assign to something. Okay. That's our responsibility. And we assign that. A lot of the times, the emotions or the thoughts that we assign to people or experiences are pretty much typical things that we've learned or that we believe it should look like this, it has to be like this, and it's not really something that we truly, as individuals, have decided to do or have decided to assign accordingly, if that makes sense. For example, a breakup. It has to be devastating. It has to be emotional. It has to be hard to move on. Says who? Yes, there are feelings involved, and it doesn't mean that the feelings die from one day to the next, but it doesn't have to be devastating. It could just be a moment of realization, acknowledgement, and understanding, and then literally choosing to move forward or not. It's really that easy. No, it's really that simple, but the process doesn't have to be easy, if that makes sense. It's up to us to decide what we're going to do with it, okay? That was the example. All right, so let's move on to the second deck and see what Spirit has to say. And yes, my phone was ringing because my child's calling me. All right, let's see. The second deck, Spirit, what else does Spirit want to share with us? Okay, I'm showing a lot of ancestors coming forward saying, excuse me, all this talk you guys are doing about ancestors, but you are not doing anything about it. You do not have your ancestral altar up. And if you do, you are not consistent with it. You're not visiting us. You're not providing any offerings. You're not doing anything but talking about ancestors this, ancestors that, and I have an altar. You should have altar, but you aren't acting on it. So stop selling wolf tickets and get your ass over there and do something in regards to your ancestors. All right? Yeah, ancestors are not happy. I have learned that you don't play with ancestors, not that anything in your spiritual development or your spiritual life should be played with. But for me, ancestors come the hardest and ancestors come correct every single time. And I like that. I appreciate that. All right, let's see. If ever you guys have any questions in regards to anything, feel free to ask me, to reach out to me. But again, don't ask anything that you would ask in a reading. If you wish to do so, and not just for myself, but anyone offering intuitive services of any sort or spiritual services, book a reading. Have the common courtesy to book a reading. And if you have no interest in doing so, then don't come on here blasting people with any sort of questions that you would normally ask in a reading, okay? And again, if you want to reach out to myself or anyone for that matter, not just in the spiritual community, have some common courtesy. Reach out to folks and speak to them the same way that you would like them to speak to you. Don't just start blasting with, I have this problem, and start, throwing it on them. Have some common courtesy. Have some, hey, how are you? What's up? I hope you're doing well. I have a question. Is this a good time? Have some common courtesy. And again, that's just not for me or this community specifically. It's for anyone providing a service. Even your friends. We have this bad habit of just reaching out to our closest friends and just start dropping all our shit on them without even asking them, number one, are you in a place to take this all in? Maybe, or maybe they don't feel like it. Just ask them. That's all it takes. Okay. That seems like that's all. Spirit doesn't really have anything to say in the second deck. That's just what want. Okay. No, just kidding. Anyway, I was going to say that's all they got. No, there's something coming from this deck. And I'll know it when it's time. For me, shuffling my cards helps. It's very relaxing to me and it's very soothing. So even if I have no intention of pulling cards or doing any readings, I will shuffle my cards forever. And I like it. It feels good. Who is that? Waiting on a delivery. And I may have to pop up and go get it right quick. Oh, that might be it actually. No. So if I do pop up, you'll be all right. I'll come back, get my paquete, and I will come back. Okay, talk to me. All right. We just talked about this at the beginning of the thing. Okay, so we have transformation, and I'll tilt the card just a little bit so you can see these better. Transformation, abundance, and psychic development. Okay, so as we all know, we are constantly going through a transformation every single day of our lives, every single minute of the day. Why? Because we are constantly growing and evolving, okay? Oftentimes, when we think transformation, we think of some huge life event that has taken place or some huge spiritual experience, something huge, something major, in order for it to qualify as a transformation. We look for the big things, for the magic to pop, which is yes, but remember, we are transforming every single day. Every time you make a different decision or you choose to do something differently, you are transforming, you're growing, you're evolving. That's expansion and growth, right? So let's keep it short and simple. Transformation. Remember that it takes place every single day. Every choice we make is a part of our transformation. And it's important to celebrate even the smallest steps from day to day, as well as the huge things that happen, because we are worth the celebration and the acknowledgement of the positive changes that we're making throughout our lives, okay? Don't wait for somebody else to celebrate you. Don't wait for somebody else to validate you or to acknowledge you. We are our own responsibilities, and we are worth celebrating ourselves every single day, all day. Don't forget that. Abundance and psychic development. When we think abundance, we think monetary abundance, right? I would like to receive more abundance into my life. And automatically I think, where's my check? Where's my money? Remember, abundance is an abundant amount of everything, an excessive amount of anything and everything, okay? So when we speak abundance, just be sure to, remember, your words mean something. So if you would say, just shower me with abundance. Abundance of what? Do you want abundance of bills, abundance of debt, abundance of problems, abundance of chaos, abundance of drama? Be specific, okay? Don't be so specific that it turns into limiting, meaning that you only ask for financial abundance. There's so many other positive everything's in our lives that we could easily invite into our lives. Okay. So abundance, be specific, but don't be limiting. Okay. Psychic development. This goes back to what we said at the very beginning, which is stop comparing. Okay. You are not me. I am not you. You are not my neighbor. My neighbor's not my daughter. Every single person's spiritual and psychic development is going to look different. You will never ever be the same as somebody else's. Yes, there might be similarities, and you guys might have some commonalities, but nothing is ever going to be exactly the same. Okay, so stop comparing yourself to your friend when you see that she is, making strides in her psychic development, but you're over here, you can't even hear what spirit has to say. Well, maybe the problem is that you're not. Maybe the problem isn't even that you're not listening to spirit, but you're expecting to hear spirit in a certain way. How about you stop comparing so much and look around and be like, oh shit, really, literally, the writing is on the wall. That song told me exactly what I needed to hear. My daughter just walked by and made a comment that has nothing to do with me that answered my question. Pay attention, okay? We're always so caught up with comparison. Okay, it should look like this, it should look like that, I should be here. Stop it. You're just hindering your own spiritual and psychic development. Okay, now remember though, not every psychic has the ability to be a medium, but every medium is psychic. Does that make sense? That's also another confusing thing, a confusing situation for some people. So if you're currently, knee deep in your psychic development, but you're pissed off because you can't speak to the dead, because you can't communicate with the spirit world, well, maybe that's not your thing. Maybe that's not your your gift. Maybe that's not your gift. So stop stressing yourself. Stop it. Maybe your friend over here is just communicating with spirits here and there, telling you what your uncle said, what your daddy said, and everybody else. And that's fine, because that's their gift. That's their don. Okay? That's what it is. Focus on you. Worry about you. Don't come up to spirit with this giant list of, okay, I want this clear, this clear, this clear, and I want to be a medium. Why can't I do it? It's not a menu. You don't get to place an order. You're going to get what you're going to get, and that's what it is. Okay? You might not like it. You don't have to like it. But if you're going to open yourself up to it and embrace and receive truly what spirit has for you, then do that. Be spiritual mentoring and give readings, but you can't even drink your own tea. Don't do that. Okay? And you know what? Here's the thing. Your divine spiritual support team is going to teach you what you learn. And if you're the lesson, you're there for it. And if you're not, you're either going to get shut down completely because you're not open to anything, or you're going to continue to get your ass kicked until you pay attention, until you realize that your butt is too sore to sit on, and you would rather not have that happen anymore. All right. So that's what we have today. There was quite a few things. So be sure to go back and rewind it. Listen to the things that stand out to you. Now, remember, if you're sitting there listening to this video and you are just bored out of your goddamn mind, but then all of a sudden you hear one sentence that stuck out to you, instinctively, you're going to be like, dang, I missed this entire thing and barely started paying attention to here. Remember, this whole thing played out like that for a reason. If this particular sentence jumped out at you, obviously this was something that was supposed to be speaking to you in general. So pay attention to what that was. What did that sentence consist of? What were we talking about? What was I addressing? That's the kind of guidance and insight and how spirit is going to be sending you things. Okay, that was an example. So again, go listen to everything that spirit came out here and shared with us today, and I hope that it resonates with you. Again, take what feels good, leave the rest of it because it doesn't belong to you. All right, this is a communication this was a shared moment for the collective. So don't get your feelings hurt if not everything resonated with you. That's not how it's designed to be. Remember, the collective is 1,000,000 bajillion people. So take that into consideration. All right. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming by and supporting the work that I do. Thank you for supporting each other and just, coming by and laying your trust in my hands. I greatly appreciate it. All right. So I will holler at you guys another day. Bye.